What up, y'all? What up? What up? What up? Wait for a few to get in. Focus the camera up. So. Let y'all come in. Y'all can hear me? What up, y'all? Fix the lighting. Matt, what's going on? Salute. As y'all come in, hit the like button. Or a couple of more people come through. Matt, what's going on? As y'all come in, hit the like button. Spanks in the building. What's good, Spanks? We're gonna let a couple of more people get in before we start talking. $13 people in this joint. We're gonna let a couple of people come up in this joint. Give it time. Still bumping that love seat. Appreciate you. Greetings from Boston. What's going on? 'Shout out to my guy Dave East. This ain't a regular red cup. See, hard plastic. Shout out to FTD. Well, check it out. I ran across these guys. I ran across. I was on YouTube like 2 nights ago, and I ran across an interview by Untold podcast, and they was interviewing Jay Bezel, that used to be a part of uh, Skull Gang. You know what I'm saying? And there's a couple of things that I disagreed about, and people was asking me did I see the interview. So I said, yeah, I'm gonna go live about it and talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Cause I believe in being fair. You know, um, I believe in being fair to people. I believe in, you know what I'm saying. If you gonna tell it, if you gonna tell us about talk about a situation, you got to talk about everything. So all right, check this. So in an interview, they asked him how he became a part of Dipset and stuff like that, right? So we're gonna take it back to the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Around, I'll say mid '04 to '05, that's when Bezel started coming around. Bezel was Bezel used to leave voice messages on Jewel's phone, and we used to listen to them. You know what I'm saying? He'd be like, "Yo, it's this nigga that's leaving. You know, it's this dude that's leaving voice messages." Every time he end this rap, he'd be like, Bezel from Philly." So that's how, we got acquainted with Bezel by him leaving voice messages on Jewel's um, voice message. So long story short, Jewel's reached out to him. Bezel started coming around. And at the time when Bezel came around, he ain't really have a buzz like that. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have him besides what he used to leave his voice messages. So he wasn't like a Joey Jihad or a Meek Mills from Philly. We didn't know who he was. You know what I'm saying? So when he got around us, is when it was his first like probably taste of being around the industry shit, like him being a part, not him not being around other people or none of that. But when he came around us, the set, that was our first time ever hearing a Bezel. So fast forward, um, Bezel was a funny, like a funny nigga. You know what I'm saying? He used to always crack jokes. You know, he was cool. He can rap. He can engineer. So, Els took a liking to him early. You know what I'm saying? He used to come up from Philly and come record. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes he used to bring his brothers with him. Sometimes, like, Bezel always was cool. You know what I'm saying? But when I was seeing him in the interview, he's kind of talking down on Els, like Els was, blocking his situations in the music business, and that was totally untrue. Cause I can speak because I was there, and I know that was far from the truth, far from the truth, and we're gonna get into it. So when we started the initial purpose, we had started the initial Skull Gang. It wasn't even Skull Gang. We never had a name for it. You know what I'm saying? We never had a name for what we was doing. Els just always wanted to put this crew together. At the time when Bezel was first coming around, I was signed to Purple City. I was signed to Purple City Baby Grand. We gonna get into the Baby Grand thing too. I was signed to Baby Grand with Purple City. Me, Shice, and Ag, we had our own label deal over there at Baby Grand. So the first thing that you heard Bezel on was that the world heard Bezel was certified gangster. But he also was featured on a track called Violence on Juel's album. You know what I'm saying? He also did a couple of songs, you know, for Duke the God, like Best Out with 40 Harrell, JR, stuff like that. But before that, you didn't like Bezel wasn't like a known Philly artist. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have a buzz. He wasn't a person that Juelz heard in the streets and was like, yo, I gotta have him. Like I said, we met Bezel through him leaving voice messages on Juel's phone. You know what I'm saying? The earlier days when Bezel was coming up, he used to come up with his rap group when he was doing the All Pro thing. You know what I'm saying? With Reddy Rock and them. They was cool, shout out to them. But when Bezel first came up, he didn't really have no buzz, you know what I'm saying, like that. And Els took a liking to him, you know, started working. He was featured on L's album, What the Game Been Missing. He was featured on Certified Gangster. So if you ain't hear Juel's album, you wouldn't have known Bezel was on the album. You know what I'm saying? Because he wasn't on a single or nothing. He was on like an album cut. But people started knowing Bezel, his voice at least, because they never knew the image until he did the Best Out video. Nobody never knew what he did because he missed his flight during the Certified Gangster video. So I'm trying to think of like, do he got his timeline mixed up or certain situations because he ain't come around until like 04, 05. That's when Jim and Juel's album came out. 06 to like 07, he stopped coming around. Like late 07, almost to 08, he might have stopped coming around because it wasn't that he felt Juelz was blocking no deals, because it wasn't no deals for nobody. You know what I'm saying? Juelz never blocked no deal for him because there was never no deal for nobody. You know what I'm saying? He only had one feature, and that was on Certified Gangster. That's the only thing Bezel was known for doing for Certified Gangsters. So for him to say he had a deals on the table, that was forced. Because if you had deals on the table, you said you had deals on the table before you met Els and after. After you left Skull Gang, why didn't you go pursue your career if you still had deals on the table? Right? So he was like, Juelz was blocking his deals. And I'm trying to think what deals was Juelz blocking for him, because the reason you stopped coming around because Juelz and Lil Wayne album got leaked through you because you left a CD in somebody's car that you wasn't supposed to have. You never mentioned that in none of the interviews that you talk about. That's the reason L stopped fucking with you. That's why L's distanced himself. You didn't distance yourself. You went back to Philly and you didn't come back around once Juelz tracked down who leaked his tape and how it got. That's when you stopped coming around. When we started Skull Gang, Bezel wasn't around for none of that process. He was not around for none of the process. We didn't have a name for Skull Gang. Skull Gang didn't come into fruition until '09, '10. By that time, Bezel was gone for 2 years already. And when Bezel started coming around, we already had formulated who was in the group, which was me, Rab, Juelz, Star, and Johnny and John Depp. Reek Rose and De Niro was like the like the second runners up on the team, but we was the starting five. You know what I'm saying? And he in the beginning we was, we was just Jewel's boys. It wasn't no Skull Gang. It wasn't a label on us or nothing. It wasn't not like nothing. It wasn't nothing. And those is the older days, like '07, '08, when Jewel's was popping with his second album. That's when SAS was around, Bugsy, those guys, they wasn't a part of the label. Like, they was just coming around. They was just talk of them becoming a part of what we was doing. There was never no paperwork. Nobody had no paperwork. No paperwork ain't get presented to nobody until like '09, '10, when we got the deal with Koch, right? Jewel's never turned into an album. They re-put out the album. So when Bezel started coming back around, he started seeing the new faces, and he was like, you know, saying that, people was telling him that he abandoned Els and all that stuff. And it was kind of true, because it was like he didn't only abandon them, but once he found out, Jewels found out how his music got leaked, he wasn't messing with Bezel like that anyway. So that you gotta say that too. You can't just say, oh, what deal? Jim never had a deal for you, Bezel. He never had a deal for you. That was something that was thrown in it. Like, it was like, how you thought you, like, all right, this is the thing, right? You said Chuck Wilson offered you a deal for 900,000 from what? For you being on Certified Gangster? You had no other music out. You didn't have no mixtapes out. You wasn't blazing on the mixtapes. You didn't have a buzz but the certificate. Nobody knew what you looked like. And the only person that had a deal on Baby Grand out of the whole Dipset was me at the time. When I was signed with Purple City, we had a label deal. We didn't get 900,000 for a label deal, let alone 900,000 for Chuck Wilson wasn't playing with that type of money. So when you told that story, I was like, yo, you know what? But the truth is the truth. Nobody never had no Els didn't block no deal for you. It wasn't no deal on the table. It was talk. You know what I'm saying? It was never, you make it seem like you was first priority over at Skull Gang. No, you weren't. You wasn't even lit. You was never a bigger artist than me. Never. When were you a bigger artist than me? You never was a bigger artist than me. You wasn't on bigger records. You was only on Certified Gangster, and I ain't come out until '05. And you wasn't in the video due to you missing your flight. So what other records besides Best Out and stuff that you were on, and you were on Violence, but that was an album cut. If you, like I said, if you didn't listen to the album, you didn't even know he was on the album. So it wasn't no deal. Jim never had a deal for you. Who did Jim sign when he had the deal, when he had the A&R position at Warner Brothers? Nobody. He never signed nobody. So don't make it seem like Jewels was don't use your shortcomings in the music business on Jewels. Just things happen in the music business, but it wasn't his fault, and it had nothing to do with him and Cam and nothing. I see you bring up that it had nothing to do with none of that. The distance became between you and Els due to you leaking, having something to do with his music leaking with Wayne. You burnt up a CD to play it, to listen to it, and you left the CD in somebody's car, and then the album got leaked. And that's why Els distance. It wasn't that you left because he was blocking deals. You had no deals to block. You wasn't a big artist. You wasn't a big artist. When we started Skull Gang, you wasn't even around. You know how I know? Because me and Jewels came up with the name Skull Gang in his kitchen. And the acronym, which stands for Street Kids Unified by Loyalty and Loot. Now let's go to the picture, right? And I'm going to move over, right? In this picture is no bezel there, right? And you can't really see, but it's me, Jewels. I'm gonna tell you who's in the picture. Me, Jewels, Toe, Breek, Nero, Richmond Rab, and Star, right? So at that time, Bezel wasn't even a part of Skull Gang. Bezel wasn't on the first Skull Gang mixtape because he wasn't around. He was gone by then. And no paperwork was ever talked about for Skull Gang until '08, '09, somewhere around that time. Like I said, there's no bezel in this picture. Everybody from Skull Gang has a Skull Gang tattoo. Down to Nick the cameraman, down to Steve EQ. So it was never Joel's never blocked you out of no deal, bro. So he never hated on you. All he ever did was try to help you, Bezel. So why would you go on untold and say that? Like that wasn't true. It was untrue. Excuse me, y'all. So so at that time, it was no Skull Gang when he was around. Excuse me, y'all. Let me get a light. And for you to go on a podcast and just blatantly lie like that, that wasn't cool. And I got wild love for Bezel. I took Bezel on his first mixtape tour. And I'm gonna keep this 100, and this is not dissing nobody. This is just the truth. When I took Bezel on his first mixtape tour, when I sent Bezel on his first mixtape tour, our first stop was Philly. None of the DJs knew who Bezel was. None of the guys that was selling CDs on Broad Street, and none of the mixtape stop, mom and pop stops up and down Broad Street, up and through Philly didn't know who Bezel was when he had his mixtape. We was like the guy from Certified Gangsta. They was like, oh, they didn't Bezel didn't have a big following in Philly. He didn't, and this is just the God honest truth. So I was like back in them days, you had to have a buzz. You really had to be something super. Your verses and your hook wasn't enough for somebody to be offering you $1 million deal. You was never the main priority over that Skull Gang. It's just the truth. You was never the main priority, and when you was around, it wasn't even a such thing as Skull Gang, and that's a fact. Skull Gang ain't getting to fruition until '09. You left '07. That's 2 years, 2.5 years. So don't try to, just tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to kick Jewels down. You never had any situations for him to block. Chuck Wilson damn sure wasn't giving you 900,000. JR, JR and them did, JR and them did projects over at Baby Grand after I left. Ask them, did they get anything close to 900,000? They might have seen 100 grand or something like that. And that was just because Chuck Wilson at the time wanted a piece in the Dipset legacy. He always wanted to do something. That's why he grabbed Purple City. That's why we was able to go over there and sell a bunch of records independently with Chuck Wilson over at Baby Grand Records, because we were the closest thing to Dipset, as they say, offspring. We were the closest thing. It wasn't nobody popping out of Dipset but us, Purple City. And the reason we even got a label deal or was offered deals or was able to get a deal, because we already had put out 13 mixtapes. We really beat up the streets. Bezel ain't have a archive of work that was out there. Nobody knew him. Nobody knew him in New York. Nobody knew him in Philly, except for his little circle. He wasn't a guy like Joey Jahad or Meek Mills or anybody, or Gilly, or he wasn't a guy like you heard like, oh, yo, Jay Bezel, yo, from Philly. You heard this guy? Nah, we never heard of Bezel before. We heard of Meek Mills and all these other guys. We never heard of Bezel on the Philly circuit. So when he was leaving the voice messages over Joel's phone, we was like, oh, this is, damn, this nigga nice. Huh? He ain't on the circuit in Philly. He wasn't on the battle circuit. He wasn't on the mixtape circuit. You know what I'm saying? Only thing I remember him being on was the mixtape that he had left at Joel's house, was the Ape Gang mixtape. And it only probably had traction in their neighborhood. And not to take nothing away from them, but Bezel wasn't a big artist. Bezel wasn't a buzz artist. So I'm wondering how how did he block deals for you if you didn't have any deals on the table? Yeah, Bird Gang was Jim shit. Yeah, so I think that was kind of whack, going on untold and telling that like that. After that I rewatched the thing on Gully TV, and that wasn't true neither. It was just like like Bezel always been nice, but he wasn't to where head over heels like he had pink people banging down the door for him. That wasn't happening. Like I said, he was only on two notable records that people know him for, and that was Best Out, and that was the first time people even seen Bezel in a video. Bezel wasn't on none of the Purple City mixtapes, none of that. Like we gotta, if we gonna get on these platforms and tell our truths, really tell the truth, cause I ain't seen Els myself personally in 5 years. We haven't spoken. I'm not on no bad terms with nobody. But you know, sometimes, distance, separates people sometimes. But I'm not gonna never get on a platform and just outright and lie because of my shortcomings in the music business. It had nothing to do with it had nothing to do with blocking no deals. Cause if you would have stuck around like everybody else that's been around longer than you would have been a part of the Skull Gang album. Joel's never turned in an album. That was a lie too. Joel's never turned in an album. You know why? Why? Because Joel's never did none of the verses for none of the material for the Skull Gang album. It was mad urban verses that he's supposed to do for the Skull Gang album, and the album wound up getting re-put out, even with samples, even with freestyles on it. The only thing that was brand new of the album that wasn't on the mixtape was the Lil Wayne song featuring Star, no, Star featuring Lil Wayne, Rockstar, that I co-wrote. So Joel's never turned in an album. Koch put that album out on their own recordings because people already took their advance money and all that type of stuff. Me and Joel stopped speaking over an interview that I did with Queen's Flip. Shout out to Queen's Flip. You know how Flip used to put out his 15-minute snippets of the video? They didn't see the whole video, so they just went off of what they seen in 15 minutes instead of watching the whole interview. And they took something out of context, and that's how we fell out. But I'll never get up here and blame Joel's for my shortcomings. I had I had a great experience being around Joel's. I learned a lot, you know what I'm saying? And he never blocked nobody on no deals when I was around him, and especially not Bezel. He had no reason to. And the only and then y'all like the only reason you got to put a mixed tape out on land speed is because niggas back stabbed Shice. No, none of y'all really Ag. Shout out to Aguilar. Ag was the reason anybody that had something to do with putting independent music out. We introduced niggas to the independent music game. Nobody wasn't independent before Purple City. We was the independent. Lansby, Chris Landry, Jewels would have never put out Final Destination if it wasn't for Shicer Ag. Because Ag introduced everybody to Chris Landry. He had Land Speed, and then it went to Sure Shot after that. But nobody wouldn't have had no independent record deals if it wasn't for us. People don't give us the credit. People always try to look down on Purple City and this and that, but we was the reason why anybody from Diplomat put out in the independent work was because of us. Because they went through our circuit. They went through what we was doing. The Final Destination mixtape is the reason Shice and Jewels fell out. Because niggas made a ton of money and they didn't even break Shice off. So it's a lot of stuff I can go into, but people don't even know why they had situations because of us. And I'm going to say that's because of us. It wasn't because of Jewels. Jewels never knew Chris Landry until Shice introduced him to him. And that's a fact. Everybody wanted to go sign with Baby Grand after Purple City did it. Everybody was trying to cut me and Shice's throat. Everybody was trying to cut out. That's why Purple City really broke up, because niggas did divide and conquer. Everybody played divide and conquer between us. Soon as we go over to Baby Grand and go run it up and go do numbers and all that and get our independent, everybody want to go over to Baby Grand. Yo, let's go over there. Yo, let's go over. Like, come on, y'all gotta stop it. Nobody knew about the independent game before me or was doing it before me. I've been selling CDs for over 25 years. I've been making music money off of independent music. I never really made money in the industry. I made more money selling my music on the streets and through my Cash App than I ever made in the industry. And that's why I be telling artists. But I've been independent all my life. I always pressed up my own music and put it out before I had record deals. And that's a fact. So when people say Joel's blocked deals, how and when? How? How did he block a deal for you? How? When you never had a deal. You wasn't that big of a, you wasn't even a bigger artist than me, and I wasn't even the top of the food chain of Dipset. You didn't have a bigger buzz than me. You didn't have bigger records than me. I was on a Diplomat intro. You see the plaque right there. I had my own wave with Purple City. Bezel ain't have that. Only thing that if it wasn't for Jewels, you would have never had You would have never got became Jay Bezel. You would have never to where people know you. He put you right in the mix of being among Cam and Jim and all that. It wasn't easy for niggas to come around. You know how many artists that was around way before you that didn't get in the mix or even get opportunity to do a hook or anything like that? Like, it got to a point where, you know, being nice was like going to niggas' head. Everybody was nice. Reek, Nero, Depp, Neef. Bunch of niggas was nice. Bugsy, Gritty. Bunch of niggas, bunch of guys that was around was nice. A bunch. Don't make it seem like you was the main problem and Joel singled you out and was like, nah, it wasn't like that, bro. None of the recording for the Skull Gang mixtape process. We lost over 900 records. Bezel wasn't on one, not on one. He was gone before then, and it wasn't because you was like, oh, niggas blocking deals, because there wasn't no deals for nobody to block, and you was the reason that Joel's music got leaked. You took the CD out and burnt it and left it in somebody's car, and they wound up leaking. I can't feel my face. That's why the world got I can't feel my face in bits and pieces, from a CD got burnt from the studio and leaked. But that's the truth, and we can go live. Like, this is the truth. Like, people got to start telling the truth. Stop just doing stuff for ratings, or if these interviewers is paying you to get on their interview. Like, nah, bro, tell the truth. When did Juelz block a deal? When did you have a deal? It ain't 20. It wasn't 2025 where you can just get a deal overnight and just do some viral. Nah, you have to put in work. At that time, you didn't even pay. You skipped the paying dues coming around. You was able to get in the studio and was luckily enough to get on a hook that did some numbers. You got to thank people for opportunity from just being granting you opportunities. It was up to you to take it further from there. So if even if you say Jewels blocked deals for you, right? You said you still had deals on the table after you left Skull Gang. Why didn't you continue with your career? This is the things you got to look at within yourself. You can't be, because you ain't make it, be pointing a finger, because I just make you look like you bitter and need somebody to point the finger at. Jewels was never the bad guy. Jewels let niggas record for free. Jewels let niggas sleep in his crib, clothes, jewelry, cars, had access. Nobody from Jim Crew had access to his crib. Nobody from Jim had access to his cars, his jewelry, none of that. Jewels. Jewels was letting you walk around with $50,000 bracelets, Dipset chains. Any car you seen that was around, you can drive. The Z, the Denali, the Corvette. Els had 7 cars. You can drive any one of them. What artist you know giving access to niggas? It's like you can't do that. Like, you even said it yourself. Yo, I used to go to the hood, to Jewel's hood with the car. Niggas look at my phone. Even Nick Day Ones wasn't getting that. So how would you, like, niggas that came before you? So you wasn't grateful. You wasn't grateful for he didn't do nothing. He didn't do nothing good for you. He didn't put you in a good position. It was what you did with your position, with your opportunity. See, this is what happens when you give people opportunities and they don't blossom the way they want. They're gonna point the finger at you. That's why I never, I like I tried the artist thing. The reason they ain't go far with me is because what they wasn't doing. I was working with my guy Young Teak years ago, about 10 years ago. He want to rap. His favorite rapper is Joel Santana. You know what I did? I took him straight to Joel's house. Rap. Talk to him. Do something. Same guy took the Cam. And that's my brother. Took him to Cam house too. Rap. He jammed up. He couldn't even get his he couldn't even get his raps out. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't even, you know what I'm saying? I done put niggas in positions to win. And the first thing they do when they don't make it is blame you. Not that Teak ever blamed me for not going further, but I put in the work. It was up to them. He had a, I remember he had his own studio at the time in Middletown, the artist that I was working with, Teak. He had his own studio. I was at his studio more than him when I was living out there. I would be at the studio for hours before they even come in the studio. So it was like, yo, I'm already on gold and platinum albums, and I'm sitting in the studio waiting on y'all. Who the fuck y'all think y'all is? Excuse my language. Who y'all think y'all are? I'm lit. You can't every place you go with me, somebody stop me. I'm lit. So why y'all not in the studio? BBOD, everybody. Soon as we don't work it out with BBOD, Mo diss me on YouTube. Disses me. Like like I ain't spent 10 years of writing rhymes for you. Writing rhymes. When the love and hip hop thing fell, when that crashed and burned, who helped revive the group? Me. My raps. My mind helped revive the group. Do damage control. Who? Me. This is truth. Damage control. The last real Dipset reunion. I gave Dipset my record. I put that together. Like, so this is the thing that I don't be, it'd be like, yo, bro, I understand, but don't go pointing the fingers at people. Don't go blaming people for your shortcomings in life. Because Jewels ain't do nothing but try to get everybody around him on. Everybody. And everybody that he try to put on, turned they back on him. I never turned my back on Jewels. Never. They turned they back. Turned they back. Star was the first to leave. Star left. She was the first to leave. Got songs. Who you know, right? Only around for a year, maybe 2 years. Soon as you get around a group of people, you get you a record deal. Not only you get a record deal, you not only got one, not two, but three songs with Lil Wayne when he's hotter than fish grease. I'm talking about Wayne was sending back Skull Gang records in 15 minutes the day he went platinum. The day he sold that million records, he sent the Skull Gang record back that same day. If I'm lying, I'm dying tomorrow morning. You will never see Uncasa again. The day he went platinum, we sent him a Skull Gang record. He sent that shit back in 15 minutes. I always salute Tunchi for that. And she was the first one to leave. I didn't get to see no Skull Gang money because I had to get bought out my contract. I couldn't receive an advance for the Skull Gang and all the work I put in for the last 3, 4 years in the studio every day, not taking a shower. It got to a point where Jewels had to build a shower because nobody ain't want to leave because we is in a zone that much. Bezel wasn't there for none of that grind, none of that Skull Gang grind, none of it. He wasn't there. So I don't understand. Only one that gave up a deal for Skull Gang was me. I'm the one that had choices. I was the biggest artist on Skull Gang besides Jewels. Who else was bigger than me over at Skull Gang? I'll wait. I I gave up my solo deal on Koch to do the Skull Gang record. I had a choice to either put out my record, put out my album, or to do a Skull Gang thing, then come out. I sacrificed my deal for the crew. Like, nah, let's all do it together. Let's get this. You sure? Yeah, let's go. Everyone, we've been putting in this work for the last three summers and winters. And here, feet stinking, everything. We waking up, stink breath, going straight to the booth, eyes snot, all that. Bezel wasn't there for none of that grind. He left in late '07 when Joel's music got leaked. And this is the truth. Anybody that seen the bad end of the Skull Gang thing was Nero, Reek Rose, Steve, even though he's a sucker too, but Steve, like, Steve was recording for years, never got paid nothing. Dang, Steve tried to take a shot at me and diss me, talking about I'm constantly living. I never lived in the projects in my life. Never. Never lived in the projects in my life. Never lived in nature. I had friends and family, but I never lived in the projects. Me, never. Try to take shots. And when niggas left you in the studio starving, who used to bring you food? Left you in the studio on Christmas. Who brought you food straight from their mama kitchen? Who left you? They left you there on Thanksgiving too. Who brought you food out of his mama kitchen? Me. It's always Casa. When y'all was on tour and nobody was getting paid on tour, when y'all was with Els and y'all was calling me off tour, yo, we broke, we ain't got no money, only food we eat is at the venue. Who was wiring y'all money through Western Union? Casa. Who always had bread out Skull Gang? Casa. Rab. We was the hustlers out the crew. And I'm talking about the ones that was in the group. A lot of niggas wasn't hustling. I think a lot of niggas was struggling, hoping on the Skull Gang shit. A lot of niggas around us was hustling, but in the group, me and Rab. Nobody else was hustling. Nobody else had incomes like that. Niggas was struggling. Nero didn't see no Skull Gang money. He never got a check. When niggas was giving out checks, niggas ain't giving nothing to Nebro. Steve never got no money. Only person that got money was Rab, Star, and Depp, and Els. And my money went to Baby Grand, and they wound up still putting the album out against my will to make extra money after I gave you. Y'all only gave me 17,000. They only gave me 17,000 up front. The record, the advance was only what 35,000. They gave me $17,000 between my lawyer. I gave Shice a couple. I came home with like $15,000 from Baby Grand, and then made them pay for a hotel and a trip to Miami for Memorial Day to go promote the music. That's all. And then they wound up. They said they paid. I don't even want to get into that, but you ain't take no bigger loss than anybody else from Skull Gang, bro. And you was given an opportunity that you should be grateful for. You still got attached to a song that got legs to it, longevity. And if you had deals on the table after you left Skull Gang, why didn't you prosper? Or why didn't you continue with your career? You was gone from L's by then. This is what I be saying. People be always trying to point the finger and the blame. That's like, and this what makes me have to toot my horn and just tell out the truth. Who was a bigger artist on Skull Gang than me besides Jewels? It was me. I used to couldn't participate in certain things that I was supposed to participate because of Skull Gang. Niggas was like, yo, we can't let you. Wow. I was here way before niggas put this together. I helped Juelz build that studio in Bergenfield. What you know about sitting in a building when they don't got when it's getting renovated and it's 5 degrees in the building, they putting the stop sound and the floors in and the ceilings in and the walls up and building rooms with inside of rooms. And this is when Juju was first born. Els used to have to go watch Lil Juju. I used to be like, I'll stay here and watch. And that's why I was able to get any studio time that I want, because that's what he promised me, yo, for helping me build this studio, because you the one that's here going to help me get the furniture and picking out the colors of the paint and the carpet and stuff like that. I had my influence was all through this studio. We was going to get Ralph Lauren paint, suede paint, this, that, and the third, carpets, furniture from IKEA, Kaplan couches. I still remember the name of the sofas we got from IKEA. They was called Kaplan sofas. Like, man, like, so, and this is way before Bezel was even discovered, far as on some Dipset. Like I said, Bezel was around a hot 2 years. He came around like '04, '05. He wasn't there '03. That's another, he said he came around, he wasn't '03. It was like '04, '05. But the Juelz album ain't come out till '05. Jim album ain't come out till '05. Purple City album ain't come out till '05. That's why everything is the 20-year anniversary this year. Jim album and Purple City. Last week was the anniversary, the 20th anniversary of the Purple City Road to the Riches album, March 22nd, 2005. '02, '03, '02, '03, I was in '02, '03, I was in Chicago with Lupe and so I know Bezel wasn't around '02, '03. He came '04, '05. Was gone by '07. '08, '09, '10. That's when Skull Gang was moving. Bezel wasn't at none of the dress up parties. He wasn't at the movie, the notorious big movie premiere that Juelz threw. He wasn't around. Man, get your heart out of here. You out of here. Bye. Peace. Bye, John. Word. The reason I ain't going to tour with the Chris Brown, and I'm the one that told you else to do the Chris Brown record. It got to a point where Bezel was kind of territorial with Juelz, right? And he was playing divide and conquer. He would go back, yo, I'd be talking about you, Els. Yo, yo, them girls from, yo, the girl, like, shout out my homegirl, Aletha. And I get her on live and she'll damn sure tell the truth. Aletha and my homegirl Tasha, they used to come see us, pull up on us at the stool. Aletha used to call me like, yo, Bezel be asking us, do you be talking about Juelz? This, that, and the third. So I'm like, word? So one day, I was in Jersey and I bump into Toad and I bump into Juelz, right? And they gave me like funny pounds. Shout out to Laneezy. Y'all know him as Vinny Chase. He a rapper. He used to be Juelz's cameraman. I bumped into Lionel because he lived on her 55th in St. Nick place. Went to his house, smoked with him. I was like, yo, when I seen Juelz, he was like, yo, I'm gonna keep it all the way funky, all the way stank with you. That's his words for begging. He said, I'm gonna keep it all the way stank with you. Shout out to my boy Laneezy. He was like, yo, Bezel went back and told Jewels that you be talking about him. So it was always like, this is why y'all seeing a lot of stuff play out because of that type of stuff perspiring back then. You know what I'm saying? Like backbiting, and I got wild love for Bezel. Funny dude, mad smart, can rap his ass off. But everybody had their shit with him, and I'm just telling you, if people gonna tell the truth, let's get up here and really tell the truth. Let's really tell what was going on, what was the truth. Like you supposed to be we done slept in the same rooms, ate off the same plates. We like Jewels had me, Bezel, and whoever else was around us at the time living with him. To the big crib, to the to the to the first condo he had Jewels never always had his home open to us. He never made nobody feel like people be having it like how AR was talking about how Cassidy used to treat him. Els never treat us like that. Not saying that, you know what I'm saying, but that's never happened to us. We can take a shower at Jewel's house. We can go in his refrigerator. We can wear his clothes we want. I was too small to wear anybody clothes, but anybody that lived in Jewel's house know that Rockefeller was sending him a bunch of Rockaway every month. Niggas was and stuff that was Bezel niggas go in the box and you can just take whatever. Jewels is never like, this is what I be saying, bro. You can't be making painting when a person is down or you think they down trying to paint this picture about a person and that's totally not that wasn't the case. That was never the case. Els never shitted on us, bro. He never. Never. And I haven't spoken to Els in 5 years, but I'm never gonna let nobody like like shit on his name. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna let nobody do that because Els was nothing but good to niggas. You know what I'm saying? Open his home, open his studio, and I heard another thing he said was like, yo, if I'm with you, you supposed to let people know you ain't supposed to let nobody do nothing. When I was coming up, I had to pay for my studio time. For real. And if you don't pay for your studio time, you don't own your music. Els let niggas burn their music, take it to wherever, do what they want with it. Els was never had no leash or no paperwork on nobody. He never offered nobody no paperwork before '09, '10. And nobody signed that contract with a lawyer. Everybody just signed it because everybody was ready to get some paper and just get it going. Nobody even knew what the contract said. So when the album ain't do what it was supposed to do and everything, that's when nobody started coming to the studio no more. None of the Queens guys was coming to the studio no more. It went from Skull Gang to Slow Bucks, and shout out to Slow and Bucks because they was smart and they was innovative and they was a big part of the Skull Gang movement too. I can't leave them brothers out neither. But I seen the transition. It went from Skull Gang t-shirts to Slow Buck t-shirts, and that's when, you know what I'm saying, this is the truth. So when I see people get up here complaining and pointing a finger at Jewels for their shortcomings in the music business ain't right because he gave you a shot. He was given an opportunity by by carelessness and not doing what you're supposed to do far as that CD situation. He wasn't even supposed to have that music, but besides Steve, the only one that really knew how to use the equipment was Bezel. Besides the engineer, Bezel knew how to engineer, mix, all that. Bezel was crafty. He wasn't only a MC, you know what I'm saying, rapping. He was recording niggas, recording himself, running in and out the booth, all that. Very talented. But we gonna state the truth, and the truth don't blame Jewels for your shortcomings in the industry, and you should apologize to him on social media, because that's not how it went, bro. That's not how it went. Jim never had a deal for you. You just spoke to Chuck Wilson. He didn't have a deal for you. And it wasn't no 900,000. I don't know why people be making it seem that just say I was a new artist coming in the game and I was just like, why you wasn't a big deal. And it's no disrespect, you wasn't a big deal. You was sitting there saying, yeah, oh, that was the next. No, you wasn't, bro. You was never hotter than me in the streets. Never. Not even today. And this is just being honest. You was never hotter than me in the streets. Never had a bigger buzz than me. Never had a bigger career than me. Never put out more mixtapes than me. Never sold more merch than me. I took you on mixtape tours and sold your mixtape for you. You wasn't going to no stores. I was, yo, Bezel, come here. Yo, this is Jay Bezel. You from Philly. You from out here, such and such. In Philly, a Harlem nigga took you to your hometown and sold your CDs for you, taking you to Connecticut, showing you how to go make 10 bands from your music without a label. Yeah, me, Casa, because I've been doing it. I've been selling my music out the trunk since 98, 99. Word. Really got a 20, 24, 25-year run, 30-year run out here selling music independently on some Too Short, Luke, Luke Skywalker type shit. Like, for real. And it's just and it's just the facts. You know what I'm saying? If y'all ain't got the Love Seat album, you know what I'm saying? If y'all ain't got the Love Seat album, you know what I'm saying? Go get the Love Seat album. You can get it from me through my Cash App. You know what I'm saying? And $20 digital copy. You know what I'm saying? Cash App is Zoribear, Xoribear, the dollar sign in the front of that. And you can get the digital copy. Make sure you attach your email to your purchase if you want the new music. But I've been doing this forever. Been doing this forever and helping people with their brands my whole life. Word. And it's just the God honest truth. And it's just like, don't do that. If you don't, you don't gotta downplay a man because it didn't go right. You can keep it all the way funky. There's nothing wrong with telling the truth. But you wasn't second in charge. You wasn't second command. You wasn't the hottest out of Skull Gang. You didn't even have a buzz. You didn't even have recognition until you got on Certified Gangster, and that's it. That's it. They didn't even know you in Philly. You was on none of those go hard or go home uh, DVDs. I was killing the DVD game. I was killing the mixtape circuit. First time people really heard you on mixtapes at that time was through Dipset. Songs with me, songs with J Mills, songs with JR. So those how you got your notification was through Dipset. It wasn't because you was Ape Gang, because when you came to Ape Gang, nobody knew who you was. Nobody. And I ain't started hearing about Ape Gang Tough really until they put Garcia down. That's when Ape Gang started really ringing, and like you start hearing it coming like up this way, like yo, some guys in Philly. And shout out to the Ape Gang, Garcia and all us, my guy and all that. But this is just the God honest truth. You know what I'm saying? We've been here for about an hour. Shout out to everybody that tuned in. But yeah, I just had to come here because I seen that interview and I was like, that's far from the truth. Joel's never blocked you on no deal, Bezel. Don't do that, bro. Niggas got wild love for you. He got way more love for you than what you showing them right now on that interview. He never blocked you on no deal. All he did was open his home to you and gave you anything you ever asked for. Anything you asked for. Shit that I ain't get from Jewels, you got. I never had to ask him for money and stuff like that, but if you ask Jewels for money, he'll look out. You can go to Philly with his jury. You can come jump in one of his cars. You can go to the studio and record as long as you go to his crib and sleep as long as you want. Try that with Fab. Try that with Jim. Try that with any rapper. Ain't too many rappers got they niggas around them like that. Doing what you was able to do. Nah, bro. But that's just the God honest truth. You know what I'm saying? But until next time, I just have to come up here and just, state facts with that. You know what I'm saying? Els never blocked you on no deals, bro. It was never no deal with Jim. It was something that was thrown in the air. It wasn't no deal. Never blocked. And you was Jewel's artist at the time, so why would he let you go do anything with Jim? It's all business. This is what y'all don't be understanding. This is not called rap friends. This is called rap business. The music business. You know what I'm saying? People don't be understanding that. The parallels with friends and business. You know what I'm saying? We can be friends and family and all that, but you gotta take care of the business and just say you ain't take care of your business. You know what I'm saying? Just say, don't bring your shortcomings on Joel because it wasn't his fault that you ain't become Jay Bezel you was supposed to be. It's because of you. People gotta start looking in the mirror and start blaming you for you not doing what you wanted to do in the music business because he gave you ample opportunity. What became the distance between you and Els wasn't because of no record deals, it was because you was careless with his music and you was some music that you wasn't supposed to have. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes, we sacrifice all the right shit for all the wrong shit. You know what I'm saying? So, we all live and we learn, but shout out to Jewel, shout out to Bezel. You know what I'm saying? This is just real nigga shit. You know what I'm saying? And and this is can't be and when I'm saying this is super fact and it can't be debated because then when you want if people want to get you want to get even more deeper, I just start going live with Reek, with Nero, with Star, whoever. I still in contact with everybody. I still can call everybody on the phone. I still can do it, connect everybody with Skull Gang, and they repeat everything. When it was Skull Gang time, as the world know it, Bezel wasn't around for none of that run, none of that Skull Gang run. He wasn't there for none of the videos. He wasn't there for none of the commercials. He wasn't there for none of the photo shoots. He wasn't there for none of the parties. He wasn't there for none of that. He didn't see none of that. He didn't even know that. And it wasn't no Instagram back then. You know what I'm saying? Jewels rented out the whole AMC theater for the Notorious movie and had people that was in the movie in the theater watching the movie with us the day it dropped. And every row had champagne and rose and Patron. Every row had ice buckets. Finest girls at the time in Harlem, Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island, every female known to man that was popping early 2000s was there with us enjoying that mansion, birthday party, we got suited and booted, hero. Bezel wasn't there for none of that. I'm talking about everybody got on $3,000 suits and stuff like that. Everybody coming. You got you got Al Harrington, you got Buffy the Bot, you got star-studded affair birthday parties. And he wasn't there for none of that. That's the Skull Gang run. You was you was a part of the pre-Skull Gang run before Skull Gang was even had acronym, before Skull Gang had a name. We was just Dipset. That was what we was. It wasn't. It was Joel's version of Dipset. Firehouse Boys. We ain't have no name. Me and Joel's came up with the name Skull Gang. And then I came up with the acronym for it. Street Kids Unified by Loyalty and them goons and niggas getting it. All we do is shoot. Yeah, that's all he was on was Certified Gangster Hook. That's where that's where he got his notoriety from. That's how he became the get in the game. That's how people started to know him. And then people still didn't know who he was because he wasn't in a video. Like I said, I took Bezel to Philly for on my mixtape run, and people didn't even know who he was in Philly at the time. You know, so and this is the truth, and I got proof of that too. Like I don't lie. I don't gotta lie. I don't have to lie. I don't have to do nothing controversial to get ratings or likes or clicks or none of that. I'm telling the truth because I was there. Everything. But thanks for everybody else tuning in tonight. You know what I'm saying? And love y'all. I'm back. You know what I'm saying? They done remonetized my YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Had to get my ID so they don't think there's no fraud in that. You know how the guidelines of YouTube. But I'm back and we gonna be talking every day. You know what I'm saying? John Depp was nice too. I think he was Lloyd Banks' cousin. Yeah, he was Banks' cousin. Shout out to Banks. Shout out to Depp, my Queens boys. It's always love. And then people like, it was never no beef with me and none of the Queens guys. Slow, Bucks, Depp, Banks, loved them like my Harlem dudes. Always been family since the day we met them. Always been, you know what I'm saying? Everybody bumped heads. I don't hold no grudges. Life too short for all that. But those is my dudes. I went to Cali and met up with Bucks. Yeah, man. But yeah, man. Until next time, it's your boy Casa, man. And that's just the truth. Peace.